Every night is the Rangers Journal night.
Mitch, somebody is messing around with me because every time I start the intros, it always plays the wrong video. So there's something wrong with these settings, and it's driving me nuts. It's every single pod that I do. How are you, mate?
All good, mate. You?
Yeah, happier after the first. When was it? 40th minute? Did we get equalised or something like that? Happy since then,
mate.
but honestly, this is your immediate match reaction, people. Sorry, but should intro that. I had Rangers 3-1 win over Dundee United at Tannadice today. It was like a game of pinball, wasn't it, mate?
Do you know what? It was a bit of fun though, wasn't it?
Aye, knowing the result is fun.
Like, I will say, I think the first 20 minutes we looked like Thursday night's exploits caught up with us a wee bit. And I think it's not just Thursday night's exploits. I think it's been the exploits really from that festive period run on to now.
Yep.
We've played a lot of minutes and a lot of football, 3 games a week, every week now for nearly 4 or 5 weeks. Like, there's bound to be some tired legs in there, and, at times being threadbare kind of showed. But,
Yep.
3 points, bag of chips and away up the road.
That's it. I mean, you're right. It's shown now. I mean, was that 10 first team players out from the lineup today? And as Wallace commented, no, sorry, it wasn't Wallace. It was Daddle Puzzle's Blue Boots that were looking powder puff in centre half. I actually think Proper's coming into it a wee bit the last couple of weeks. I thought he played well the other night there, and I thought he had a decent game today. Obviously, gets his goal.
Do you know what? I think Proper now, and I've said this now from about mid-November, he looks settled, he looks comfortable, and he now looks, I think what he's really needed when he joined is, jokes aside about building furniture and everything else, like, I actually think he needed a run of games in the team. And I think when you come from a league that I would say probably there's a bit more respect that you get as a centre-half over in Holland than what you do here, I think it's bound to take you a few weeks to find your feet with the rough and the tumble that is the SPFL. Up here, you've got big 6'4" gangly strikers that can't get a game in the Conference League, but they're right up your heels in 2 seconds and they will hurry you into a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a quality player like Proper showing that he is, it just takes you a few weeks just to find your bearings a wee bit.
Well, I certainly was on the bandwagon that he was probably going to be away back to the Netherlands in this transfer window. I don't think that's probably going to happen now. Certainly not with the lack of options we've really got in that area, with Balogun and Suter not able to start. But let's go back to the beginning of the game. It wasn't a great start from us, and then there's always a nonsense, and we concede the opening goal to, I guess, the pinball kind of analogy again. We must have had 4 or 5 players round that ball, and not one of them could clear it.
Do you know, and I will say one thing, right, and if some of the boys like myself that do the Coppin Report stuff will tell you, I have a soft spot for Sam Dolby, and I've said from the start of the season, he is one to watch. It's not an accident the way that he approaches that corner, because he does it week in, week out. The problem that we've got is, time and time again, at corners, we are absolutely hoaching at defending corners.
Yep.
And it's not, I don't know if it's a mixture of Butland, I don't know if it's a mixture of the ever-changing backline, I don't know if it's also a slight problem. If you look at our backline in general, the only one with a bit of height about them really at the moment is Enciala. Because Yefty's normally kind of floating in the edge of the box rather than being in the thick of the box to be the out ball.
Mm-hmm.
And you're thinking to yourself, maybe is it time to pull Yefty a little bit closer to the post to add that extra height there that Tav's not got, that maybe necessarily Proper's not got as well.
No, I think you're right. I think it is a combination of the things you've mentioned. That Butland doesn't look comfortable at the moment with balls on top of him. He's not. I mean, we obviously scores an own goal the other night there, but try to punch the ball away. So it's teams have seen this, and they're all just doing it, putting it straight on top of the goalkeeper. And we don't have a command. I mean, okay, we don't have Richard Gough, we don't have Amoruso, we don't have anybody just putting even Suter. We don't have Suter at the moment. Somebody just putting their head in the line. Doesn't matter if they take a knock to the face or whatever, but they're clearing that ball no matter what, and we don't have that.
That's exactly what we're missing. As I like to call him, a good old-fashioned hurricane door defender.
Yeah.
Somebody that just acts as the bomb shelter, that, the ball comes in, I'll stick my body where it hurts. And I will say, Robin Proper, to a certain extent, has been doing it not necessarily from corners at the moment, but in general play. He'll throw his body in there now, and he'll get physical, and I think he's detaching that Ben Davies tag from himself, quite nicely as he goes. Like, but as you say, I think from corners and things like that, I think it's that lack of physical presence, just a big unit that allows that if we have a big unit at the front post, it allows Jack to concentrate in the middle and the back post. You put somebody like Enciala in the back post, who's what, 6'3", 6'4". He's a big bitty a boy. That's three big units, like over the three different thirds of the goalposts. I think that makes a big difference. But right now, we can't do that, and I do think to a certain extent that's also where we miss Sterling, because he's not shy of putting himself about in the box either. When it defending and doing what he's paid to do.
Well, we do get an equaliser, and what a goal it is by Diamande. It's something. I'm screaming on the couch when watching it. That's in. As soon as it left his boot, you could just see the way it was bending away from the keeper into the side net, and I love the ones into the side net. And
oh, it was delicious. Like, but shooting outside the box, mate, it'll never catch on.
I know. But no, it was a good build-up. We'd been knocking at the door, I feel. We'd started to come into the game a bit more after the 30-minute mark or so. We looked a bit more dangerous. It did seem like, we would attack and it would either get snuffed out and broke down, and then we would get counter-attacked on. And that's why I'm saying it was like pinball, because they did break on us a number of times. But I think we were the better team overall. Maybe not considering the whole first half, but overall I think we deserve to win today, and I say that was a good finish. Into the second half, what was your feelings at half time?
See, at half time, I'll be honest with you, I felt fine. It's one of these we went in. Had we went in probably 1-0 down, I would have been probably going, this is a bit ropey. But when we go in on the one each, scoring the goal just before half time as well always helps. It kind of stuffs that bit of confidence out of the team that you're playing. I think some players now, maybe like Bajrami and the likes of Diamande now, are starting to learn that little bit of street smart now. About being on the travels and what other teams will and won't get away with. And I think weirdly, Nick Clancy's honking refereeing, which we'll cover obviously later on, but there's about 2 or 3 challenges laid into Diamande at half time that go unpunished from the referee other than a free kick. And there was the one in particular where he get completely wiped off the face of the earth, and Clancy's just stood there and basically went, "Nah, it's all right. Like, just take that one in the chin, son." And it looked like there was a switch went off in Diamande's head where he went, "I tell you what, then fine. If you're not going to give me it, then I'll go and do it myself." And it kind of looks like some of them have maybe found that mentality shift, I think.
Is this am I not in on the joke? Are you just getting the referee's name wrong? Because Nick Walsh, you keep
it was Walsh, sorry. Apologies.
I don't know if you were doing that as some kind of insult to him. But
No, that was just terrible from my part there.
No worries, mate. I thought it was a good joke, to be fair. But yeah, we come out in the second half, and it doesn't take us long to get to go ahead. And the commentator, I don't know the name of the commentator, but he mentions about Proper being still up front from, I think it was a corner, and whether that was an omen or predicting the future, because he gets the ball, he gets a lovely pass to him in the box, and it does take a deflection. Let's not kid ourselves, but it takes a deflection and hits the back of the net. It was on target anyway. The keeper was doing quite well at doing those kind of short, good short stopping, if you can call it. I don't have a better name for it, but no, that deflection took it away from him, and we go ahead.
Do you know what? I'm a big believer of I don't care how it goes in the net as long as it goes in the net. I think as fans we are very general. We're quite guilty of overcomplicating things. Football's fundamentally keep ball out net, put ball in net. It's as fundamental as that. Proper's in the right place at the right time, and he hits it sweetly. And how it goes in, off that, you get a wee bit. Sometimes you get that wee bit of luck where it does take a wee nick off somebody and goes in. And would it have went in without the deflection? Who knows? But it doesn't matter how it gets in there. Proper's also in that position time and time again. From set pieces and stuff, he's really good at being that attacking focal point. From the defensive angle, like there are players that come up, and But look at, he's had what, two or three goals chalked off this season, from corners and stuff. It's not a mistake that he was one of the high scoring defenders over in Holland before coming here.
Mhm.
When you watch the footage of him in the highlight reels before he signed and stuff, he's really good at being in the box. He's a wee bit he's got a touch of the fox in the box about him, when he's in there.
I can't believe you're bringing Francis Jeffers up in this day and age. How did you feel, Iggaman? Do you feel he's still progressing? Obviously didn't get a goal today, but I feel he was involved in much of everything going forward.
Do you know what? I think he was pushed out in the wide today as opposed to being in the middle. And I think the first half, being fair to him, it probably took him 20, 25 minutes to kind of realise, okay, I'm out in the wing and I've got Cyril Dessers to do the grunt work up top. And I think, fair enough, I was watching it obviously here in the house, and we were saying as well, he's so used to, I think, that when he's got Danilo playing in behind him, he's very used to being the one that has to do the grunt work, winning the knockdowns, and Danilo is normally the one that's the greedy wee pal behind him, coming in to mop up any mess. Whereas I think it took him and Dessers maybe 20 minutes or so just to get that wee bit of in sync together, where Dessers was like, no, leave it, I'll do the big man striker stuff, I'll win the knockdowns, you stay out there and cut in when you can. And then you seen that starting to kind of click on from about 30, 35 minutes onwards, where basically the ball's like Velcro to his feet. I've never seen a player genuinely that's played for us with such a brilliant touch than what he's got. That ball just sticks to him like glue. But aye, he's something special there.
Aye, yeah, well, obviously, how long we got? That's the 26th today, so we've got another couple of days left of the transfer window. We don't generally hear much from the club about incomings and outgoings, but I'm hoping that there's no big offers coming in for him before the end of the month. I take it you're the same.
I'll be honest, I mean, Clement and Patrick Stewart have said themselves, obviously, a couple of weeks back, he's not going anywhere this window. We've got him locked into, 4.5 years left of his contract. By all means, in the summer, if somebody walks in and says, here's some serious money, of course there's a conversation, because that's the trading model we're under.
Yep.
And at that point, we'd assume that Coppin's probably got about 7 or 8 other gems up his sleeve to go, right, here's another one of the Infinity Stones, But I think, and I'll be honest as well, and not just saying it as the chairman of the Dessers Association, a club here, but a lot of people should be careful what we wish for about wanting Dessers out the door this window. We've seen it now with Danilo out on the table again, and again, that's not a dig at Danilo. Like, that first injury to it was absolutely hoaching. Nothing he could do about that, and he's obviously had, I don't know if the shoulder was separated or if it's a muscular issue, but you need a seasoned third striker in there. Somebody that's going to take the Dessers role like today and say, okay, seasoned international player, I've got a point to prove and I want to be here. Right now, by accident or by unfortunate circumstance, he's back in the team and he's showing the manager exactly what he can do. We were talking just off here before we came on of what a lot of people's gripes with Dessers and everything we were told about him when he signed for us. That when he's hot, he's red hot, and when he's cold, he's worse than a man down. And right now we are in one of these, I like to call it the evergreen purple patches that we're in just now. Wouldn't shock me if he went off to go and miss 3 and then score a double on Thursday.
No, I was going to say he does have the ball in the back of the net. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite get his run timed, perfectly. It's a nice wee bendy run. I can see what he's trying to do, but it looked offside to me in the first replay. But again, a nice finish from him, top of the net, even if it didn't count.
It was actually Bajrami that got flagged for the offside.
Oh, was it? Right.
It was Bajrami was just in front of his man. And
you're
to
right.
be fair, when you see the 2 lines drawn, it was like you're talking. There was about a toe in it, But again, you can only score with what's in front of you. People are like, oh, we shouldn't be celebrating his hat trick against Fraserburgh last weekend. He can only play the teams that are in front of him.
Yep.
I think the problem that Dessers has is so many people almost get sick of the sight of him last season because he was the only one fit, and it was dead easy to point the finger at him. And then people will always be, when he misses, he will miss one or two chances before he scores in the game. Most strikers do. But I think, you know, because there's that preconceived bias from a lot of people of, oh, it's Dessers, he's gonna sky it, and he's gonna send it into the, he's gonna send it into the Clyde. You know what I mean? He could go out there tomorrow and score 5 on Thursday night, and somebody's still going to pick up on the fact that he missed one.
Yeah.
You know, and as somebody who genuinely, people, regular viewers will know that I make no secret of my admiration for Dessers. Like, he's a player that is Marmite for a lot of people of, you're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. And I think he's now accepted that as a player that some portion of the fan base love him, some portion of the fan base hate him. And I think now it's a bit watering off a duck's back to him, and all he can do is keep scoring.
I think you're right with the he was only one available, and we didn't win. And I think a lot of us felt if we signed one striker last January, we would have went on and won the league. We can debate who that other striker was, but he was the only one fit and available, and he carries the kind of the failure, I guess, of not winning the league, or the failure of last season, only having the League Cup to show for it. So I do get it. I think he does work when there's three fit, and they can rotate a wee bit. And I think Iggyman works well with both of them, actually, him and Danilo.
Absolutely. I think Iggy's he's the chameleon, I think, in that front three, where he is just put him in with Danilo. He's probably a bit more comfortable because Danilo does move more than Dessers moves. But where he's got Dessers in there, he knows that he doesn't have to break his neck to constantly be in the box because Dessers is going to be there or thereabouts. So it lets him kind of take that extra touch or take that extra minute to think. And I actually think we started seeing it, especially in the second half, some really nice bits of link-up between him and Dessers, where Dessers was dropping it out to him, he was cutting it back into Dessers and stuff, like, which actually brought Bajrami further into the game as well, who, I think he had you could probably call it a bit of a bipolar game that Bajrami's had,
Yeah.
where he's the first half, minus maybe the closing 5 minutes, it was probably a bit, for my opinion, it was kind of humming. In the second half, it's like, I don't know if Clement's taken him in the dressing room and gave him a scud or something like that at half time and said, get out there before I give you a pasting at half time. But he came out there like somebody put a rocket up his backside at half time and started playing again, And, that was evident in in the pass that he laid out there to Lovelace for the assist for the goal. For, that the crossfield ball that he gave into Lovelace for the third goal was sensational. And Lovelace will pick up all the plaudits from most people because he got the assist. But the ball into Lovelace in the first place was absolutely delicious from Bajrami. And Lovelace has then put in an absolutely cracking ball forward for Dessers, who closes his eyes, looks up into the top right bin, and there we go.
Well, as I was saying to you beforehand, I went through to put my lunch plate through in the kitchen and came back. I literally was away 30 seconds and the ball was in it was 3-1, and I guess that was game over from that point. So thank you for taking me through that. I will have to try and find the highlights when we come off this to see it, because you've described it basically the goal of the year, I think, from what you've said.
Honestly, but you look at that, look at the pass initially from Bajrami through to Lovelace. Yeah. Genuinely, I think Bajrami falls into potentially 2024 to 25's Dessers of last year. People are so quick to almost not pick on him, but picking the faults of his game. Then he goes and lays out an absolute worldy pass like he did to Lovelace, and you're like, all right, okay, fair. Like, this is why we signed you. Sometimes you're not going to do the pressing, but you're going to go and do, you're going to go and do that minutes quality that we need. When it's still a bit turgid, you're going to give that little bit of quality as and when it's needed. And he's shown it up in Aberdeen. He's shown it again today. He's shown it throughout Europe as well this season. That cometh the hour, there is a man in there that it's just he doesn't always arrive often enough for some of us, I think.
Well, I toyed whether we're bringing this up at the beginning of the episode because what I'm going to remember this game for is probably not any of the goals. It was what I would consider an absolutely ridiculous, atrocious red card for Diamandi by Nick Clancy-Walsh.
Oh, honestly, that's hands down probably one of the worst red card decisions I've seen, not even just this season, but in the last couple of seasons. Like, absolutely, at first I thought he was bringing the red card out for Declan Gallagher because he was already on a yellow. He's come out, he's came from 10, 20 yards away from it all, take him up and shove Nico, and you're like, okay, like, still at that point I would have went maybe a bit harsh to give him 2 yellows at that point, but he's basically, somebody there ready in the comments there said it. He was given a red card for getting pushed. And the only reason the hand actually raises, is, and I know Andrew raised it in the comments earlier, his hand is slightly raised was because he was recentering his balance after being pushed. And I think this is the problem though, like when a referee, and I think, today, referee's made his mind up, you're going off regardless. And I think he's probably played the game where they've been well warned if you don't go and review it, like the incident a couple of weeks back, I can't remember who it was against, but we were all furious after they didn't go back to review it. It was a penalty incident. And the referee that afternoon went, nah, it's fine. Like, I've made my decision, so we're just cracking on here. At least this time, he's went over to the monitor, he's checked it, but the fact that he's went over, checked it, and still fell in the same conclusion is either complete and utter stupidity and incompetence, or it's the fact that you're too thick-skulled and can't admit that you've actually just made a mistake. So you're like, on one hand, are you trying to save face or are you trying to give yourself a red face? Because either way, you're not walking out of the situation looking particularly fantastic.
I don't know if he chooses what angles to see. Obviously, we don't hear what they're saying, but the first angle they showed us was kind of like along the pitch side, which clearly shows what you mentioned, off balance, and his arm just kind of comes up from because he's getting pushed backwards. That for me seems absolutely clear on that first viewing. But for some reason, we had 2 minutes worth of reviewing it from Nick Walsh's angle, and if that's what he's seen, I don't see why showing him that angle over and over again is going to help him get to the right decision. He needs to see the angle that shows the whole body of the player really from the side on as well. But they focused awful lot on that one angle from behind our goal, I guess, where his hand comes up, but even you see it's slowed down to such a degree that it looks like he's bringing his hand up and slam. But if you watch it in real time, you push back, your arms go up.
This is where I think sometimes when you're on VAR, and I think this is the difference between the VAR that we have here and the VAR even when you look at down south. We've got, as a country, we've got basically the budget version of VAR. And whereas down south, when they go to the monitor, they've actually got a split screen on the 2 monitors that shows them it in real time and on the slow-mo. And I also think as well, it comes down to the video assistant and the video assistant refs that are sitting there. They've got access to every angle to look at that. So how nobody, and the audio for that, watch it now, conveniently pop out Wednesday, Thursday, after, and I'm almost getting no faith that when the appeal goes in for the red card, I'm almost fully expecting that his appeal's going to be rejected.
Yeah.
Because they will say, no, they will argue and say, no, but the hand touched his face. But you're like, but it didn't. Look at it in real time. Real time shows you a man trying to regain his balance. Everything can look worse in slow motion. What I would like to know is, when he went to the monitor, did it actually show him the kick out from the Dundee United player towards Dio in the first place? Because there was the kick out from the Dundee United player, then obviously the wee bit of the back and forth between Dio and the player, and then obviously that's where they've then said that's where the raised hands came from. So, but the initial decision when he blew was after the tackle on Dio. So you're like, well, did you not blow for the free kick then at that point? Which we still got the free kick there after the whole mess was finished. So that's the thing that you're just like that's the thing that you're just like, well, how can you be giving us a red card at the same time as still putting on, at the same time as still putting on the free kick after? Like that leaves the ultimate head scratch where you're like, the Dundee United players fouled Dio, so therefore does everything that comes thereafter, is that not nonsense?
I think you can still get booked, certainly for violent conduct, which I guess he's going to say that it is. But it's my recollection of it. Obviously, it's not perfect because we're just watching it on TV, and then come to talk
straight
about
back.
it, right? Yeah, and it looks like he's pushed. Well, there's a foul on him, and he's pushed. His hand comes up. I know I'm going away from the microphone when I do that. I should probably stop that. And, the referee looks like that as he's made contact, and that's what he's given the red card for. He has still blown for the free kick, is still to us. He can't change his mind on that one, but it's just a puzzling. There's so little in it. You couldn't have thought that was an actual slap. Even if it. I haven't seen a version that shows him actually making contact, and it certainly doesn't look like the player. Is Declan Gallagher? Is that who it was? It's not like he's
Declan Gallagher's the one that came screaming in from 20 yards out. But whoever it was, I don't, big bit. I don't know if it was at Taranowski or something, but for me, the challenges went in late, and the Dundee United players also kicked out at Dio during the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a wee bit of mano, call it, between the two of them, a wee bit of shoving and argy-bargy. For me, the worst that should have happened at that point is the free kick, which was already blown for. You pull the two of them apart and you say to them, you yak it, and then you say to Gallagher, the player that's came running 20 yards to involve himself in something that doesn't even concern him, and to then involve himself with a player that wasn't even involved in the incident. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're already on a yellow card. The only person here that should be taking a red is Gallagher, because he's already on the yellow for violent conduct. And then both players that were actually involved in the incident both take a clip round the ears for the referee and say, get yourselves together, not professional. There's only a couple of minutes left of the game.
That's it. Yeah, there's literally 30 seconds of playing time, I think, left. And you decide for some reason that I'm going to send them up. It just does not warrant this, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion. It doesn't warrant this reaction, and it does look like he's, don't back down, double down, where he's went to the monitor, and he's like, no, I seen that, because I don't know whether is he worried about it, accusing of changing his mind, but that's what you should be. You should want to get
VAR's there for.
Yeah,
to help you. If you're, if in doubt, check it out.
Yeah.
And everybody, as a general rule of thumb across all levels of football in Scotland, if as a referee you even have a nugget, a 2% element of doubt, you've got VAR there. Go and check. Like clubs aren't spending, hundreds of £1,000s a season to keep it there just for a laugh. Like, go and have a look, have a chat with the two people in the VAR room that have got access to maybe other angles that you can't see on the on-field monitor or anything else. But go and speak to, this is what you've got the extra assistants for, that sit in a room specifically to look at these incidents. Now, if the audio was to come out midweek, which it probably will, because that seems to be the new trick, and it'll probably come out with a, sorry boys, shouldn't have happened again, hugs and kisses, signed Willie, that'll probably come out. But when that audio comes out, it's too late at the point now. Obviously, I'm sure, and again, I still don't have any faith that when this goes, when the appeal rightfully goes in, I have zero faith that red card will get overturned. And I think that probably speaks more volumes and where we are as a country with the disconnect between fans and refs. Because you see it when other teams, not just ourselves and not just Celtic, but when other teams across Scotland playing European competition, everybody except from ourselves struggles with the disciplinary aspects of being refereed properly. You look at the number of yellow cards picked up by Scottish teams, you look at the number of fouls given, because up here, the referees referee it to a Scottish standard, as I would call it, as opposed to refereeing it to the UEFA standard, which is here. And that's a whole separate podcast, and I'll go off on a different tangent there, but I think this is genuinely, the referee's had one of a better expression there, he's had an absolute mare, because if I use the word that I want to use, we'll get banned for about 6 months. So.
It's not hidden knowledge. I remember there was a training video released when Gerrard was the manager, and there's kicks and things going flying in, tackles getting done, and he just keeps going, Scotland, because he knows these tackles aren't going to be getting free kicks in Scotland. But that's what I don't get about this, because there's to go straight red cards, not even
a yellow.
Yeah, why he thought that was, and on reflection, he had the option to change it to a yellow, I'm sure. So on reflection, watching those videos, he still thought that was a straight straight red card for violent conduct, which it just bewildering. I don't understand his thinking, and maybe he's I don't know the man personally. He's maybe pig-headed. Maybe doesn't like you know. You can only get help if you're willing to accept it, and he didn't want to accept what he's seen on the screen, I guess.
I've come to the conclusion he's potentially just thick as mints. Like it's probably because there's no like, and there's been a few times this season, and again, this is where having a strong CEO in now that we have, like with Patrick Stewart, I fully expect that tomorrow Patrick Stewart is on the phone to the SFA demanding answers of absolute nonsense. How have we got to here? And also then putting out a statement to say, we are speaking to the SFA about it, we've requested the audio about it, and we are putting the appeal in. Because this is once again another incident in the space of, the cup final was only, 6 weeks ago? Another high-profile incident, albeit it's not a game-changing one. However, it does have a knock-on impact for the following game that Diamandi is now banned for.
Yeah. That's the annoying thing, having them miss again. It might even be 2 if they really go through with it. For violent conduct, that can be 3 actually for violent conduct. I think
because it's his first red, it would just be the straight 1 because it was one straight red card. But the problem that you've got is if you fail your appeal, occasionally they can add another match ban onto the appeal. So
the frivolous appeal thing, but there's no way anyone can look at that and go, that's a frivolous appeal, even if they say no, there's enough in it. It's not frivolous to me. It's bewildering, and it's in the comments all during this podcast. People have been throwing it up.
We've had to be careful what we put up.
It's just whoever you are, Theo, enjoy the day. I will do, because it was a victory at the end of the day, and it's an away victory, mate, which is important to start getting these.
We want to give away for home, mate. Yeah. New year, new us.
That's it. That's what we need to do. So look, thank you for coming on, Mitch.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Good stuff. And I'm sure we're back tomorrow night, 6:30 for a Monday night podcast. So please join us for that if you can. Just leaves me to say every night it's a Rangers Journal night. See you later on.